Newsmax saying no to this, Fox saying no to this. I mean, honestly, it seems like this seems like a flub, one of many, frankly, for this Pentagon, but they're doubling down. Do you think that they should just back down on this?
Well, you're the press, you're going to fight for more access. It's totally within your right to do that, but you have to be consistent. So this isn't the first administration to try to control the press and where they come. I would argue that this administration is the most accessible. You could probably text the president right now and get an answer on something. Look, they're not telling you not to go and write stories. They're controlling who's coming into there, just like they would any military base. On May 14th, 2013, 50 organizations wrote the Obama administration and said it is not right that you are surveilling the cell phones of Associated Press reporters. So let's just take a step back. You can definitely fight for more access for the press, but you have to be consistent. It shouldn't just be now in the Hegseth administration. And also to think that there's...
Didn't you make that point? I mean, you just made the point that the press actually did push back on it.
Well, you would wonder
so there
why
is consistency there.
Well, for sure. But I don't see, I don't think anyone here pushed back on the Obama administration in 2013. But also the bigger point is...
But you just said so. I mean, the press did strongly push back against the Obama administration at that time. And I'll add one more thing to it. When Obama tried to blackball Fox News, all the other news outlets came out and in defense of their correspondents.
So I would agree that Obama was probably even more in terms of trying to control the press and shut it down. But even there's a bigger problem with media now, and this is why I don't believe there'll be a public backlash to this. I mean, just like there was an anchor on this own channel that had to apologize today because they were saying that the Palestinian hostages totally misrepresented a glorious moment in our history and for the world peace. And some anchor on this channel had to apologize for how they depicted it. So the distrust with the media is
hold on. Well, look,
overall.
Let me just draw a clear line here, because people in the media don't say that we're infallible. We're not God. We don't not make mistakes. We do make mistakes and we correct them. That is actually how journalism works. But also how journalism works is that we are actually supposed to try to find out things that people don't want us to find out. And that includes at the Pentagon. You know that. Every administration has dealt with that.
I'm a member of the media. As a talk show host, I want to have access. I think one of the big things, though, that people are underestimating is the American people look at a lot of the media now as not actually members of the media. They look at them as people that put out propaganda for one side. And there are a lot of people that are in the media that are operatives for the Democratic Party.
Well,
I don't think you're going to see
in that, because you just described yourself as a
I'm
member
open
of
and
the
honest
media,
about who I am. I'm a hardcore conservative. I don't masquerade as a non-biased individual who's doing hit pieces all the time on conservatives.
Sure, but I don't think conservatives, I mean, look, conservatives don't have any problem with people masquerading as journalists and batting for one team, okay? That happens every single day, and you are totally fine with it.
But I'm a
I spare me on that part. I think that's a little bit self-serving.
They're not self-serving. I'm honest about being a biased conservative commentator that works in the media. I'm not lying when I go to the Pentagon acting like I'm a non-biased journalist who's then doing hit pieces only on conservatives, which happens a lot, which is why Americans are not going to be outraged over this.
There are Pentagon reporters who work for right-leaning outlets who say that this is anti-freedom of the press.
I understand the press. There's two different things here. I understand the press all correlating together and saying, hey, this is wrong. I get that. I understand it. What I'm saying is, I think there's a lot of Americans that are going to say this is not that outrageous.
But what do you actually think? No, what do you actually think about what they're doing here?
I think the press is still going to be able to cover the Pentagon.
But what do you think about the decision?
No one's going to not be able to write their
What do you think about the decision to try to get media outlets to sign a declaration that they won't do journalism in order to get press credentials? Do you think that that's actually a good idea? Honestly,
I wouldn't put this out there, but I understand the reasoning behind it. And it goes back to why I think there's not a lot of outrage right now from the American people, because they do understand that the media, many of them, masquerade as journalists when they're really putting out propaganda of the left. And so they're like, dude, you kind of deserved it.
I think there's not bigger outrage, because there's so many things to be outraged about that it's hard to pick one. But also, for me, what's very significant is that this has finally happened. And in the sense that finally the different outlets and media platforms are banding together and pushing back as one. It should have happened, frankly, 9 months ago when Trump kicked the AP out of the Oval Office for not referring to the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, Newsmax and Fox did sign a letter supporting the White House Correspondents Association and saying that that was wrong. So, like, it's to me feels.
But it wasn't everybody like it is right now. This is
It was
different.
the vast majority of them, and that moment to me signified that when we saw this deadline coming, I felt more confident because of that news outlets were going to band together.
I always felt that, when that Oval Office thing happened, I always felt, okay, you know what? If they kick the AP out, then everybody should leave in solidarity with and let